welcome to Scofield Farm. I am out here in the hottest, what am I thinking, part of the day. I am going to harvest these hardneck garlic. I did want to talk to you as I go about when your garlic harvest isn't what you hoped for, what are the things that might have gone wrong? That way you can avoid those mistakes in the future. I let them get maybe a little too far. Usually I wait 3 weeks after I harvest the garlic scapes. And then I also look for the leaves to be about half dyed back. And if you look here, while I show you, the leaves are basically all brown. This is more brown than I recommend usually. It has been 3 weeks for the garlic scapes that I harvested, so we will see. The only way to really know is to dig them up and find out. I did cut the water. I think maybe that accelerated it, but let's take a look, and I'm just gonna have to do it and then probably jump in the pool afterwards because it is that hot outside today. I usually rake aside wood chips. We mulch with wood chips. That is our preferred mulching of choice. I have a video all about mulching, why we like wood chips. I usually get that brush aside at least partway before we start pulling so they don't get mixed in with the soil. This is basically the worst time of day for lighting for videos, but I wanted to make sure that I could bring you along so that I could share with you things that I think might have gone wrong or been able to be changed in my garlic this year. There are several reasons why I think overall I am going to get a smaller bulb size. I already found that out with this soft neck. My first harvest of garlic, which I did have a video, I'll link to it below, I did with you, they were all right. Then I did my early California white. Did not record that. They were much smaller than they usually are, and I have some thoughts on it. I have a feeling these might be smaller too. So we'll talk about it as we go, but let's see what the first couple ones look like. Then we can discuss the things that may be able to be done differently. Maybe I did wrong or just could improve. Sometimes it's just how life is, and you always have room to grow and have improvement. It's not that you did something wrong per se, it's just that there's room for growth. All right, let's see. I'm gonna use this. I did try to cut water. However, it looks like maybe the sprinkler was still going off. Our sprinklers have a really high pressure. So sometimes even if I try to turn the little bulbs to be like less pressure off, they still have water come through. Okay, I'm going to use the shovel, little hand tool to see if we can kind of dislodge this. I don't want to pierce the bulb at all. I just want to help it out. And I think this also got topped off with soil and buried it a little more than I usually do. So that makes it difficult. See how the soil is kind of wet? That is not ideal to have it damp when you harvest because it just makes it really hard for the roots to let go. I did plant beans here on this side yesterday, so maybe I turned it on last night. Okay, I think I loosened it enough that I could just pull it. All right, this isn't quite as bad as I thought it would be. Our hard neck is usually smaller than our soft neck, but honestly, I think this might be the same size or bigger than our soft neck this year. I'm gonna lay them all out to dry, and hopefully that dirt will brush off a little easier when we bring it inside. So I have a local gardener in town who asked me a question about when you have small hard neck garlic, can you leave them in the ground till the next year like you would for an elephant garlic? I do not know. I grow leeks. I have not grown elephant garlic. I have let my leeks like bloom, left them there. They kind of self-sow. I don't know how to work with like hard neck or soft neck garlic because I haven't done it. If you've done it before, you can answer her question in the comments below. I always harvest and then I save the largest cloves. I keep them in the bulb, but I save the largest cloves to plant the next year in hopes that planting a larger clove will produce a larger bulb. And that's kind of the rule of thumb. Are there things that can go wrong that you would not get a larger bulb? Absolutely. And that's the things I'm going to share with you today. But the first tip I have is to plant out your largest bulbs to help your garlic have the energy to grow the largest bulb. Did I say largest clove or largest bulb? Plant the largest clove to try to grow the largest bulb. That is my first tip. My second tip is if you're doing specifically hardneck, like I have right here, You want to harvest the garlic scape 3 weeks before you harvest the bulb, before you harvest the entire garlic. Why? You know, it's not huge, it's not terrible. I really do think waiting the full 3 weeks did make a difference in the size, even though I got these planted late, so they're not huge. The reason why you want to harvest the garlic scapes first is when you pull off the garlic scape only on a hard neck, the soft neck do not get the garlic scapes. That is the flowering head. If the garlic is putting energy towards developing a flowering head, that is how it's hoping to reproduce itself, through seed. Now, if we take the flowering head off, and this works for garlic, it does not work for onions. And I should make that another video that explains that. But for hardneck garlic, you pull off the flowering head, then the garlic is going to concentrate its energy on growing the size of the root of the bulb underneath. And so that is why we want to have it take its energy for making a flower and making seeds into making a bulb, and it can actually reproduce itself. Each clove of a bulb can in future years produce more and more bulbs, right? So it's trying to reproduce itself. So that is another tip. Take off the garlic scapes of hardneck garlic 3 weeks before if you do not. It doesn't mean you won't still get a garlic head. You will not get as large of a garlic head. Now, in zones like ours, we're in Northern California, we are Shasta County, so we're about 2 hours from the northern border of California. We're in a warmer climate, zone 9B. We get frost in the winter, but we don't get like super low lows like some of you in northern states. Northern states do great with hardneck. I found that we can grow hardneck here, but it's probably not going to be as large of heads anyway as a northern state. Usually, as I said, my soft neck garlic heads are larger. This year, that didn't quite go that way, and I'm going to keep explaining as this video goes why I think my soft neck did not do as well. But these will be smaller than if you live somewhere like Minnesota, Wisconsin, New York, but you can still grow them here. I have successfully grown hardneck in Northern California for, I want to say like 7 or 8 or 9 years. I like the flavor. It's a stronger flavor. We grow Spanish red. I love the garlic scapes. That's why I go ahead and grow them, because it is a phenomenal garlic flavor. It's worth it to me for it to even be a little bit smaller than my soft neck usually are. Now, if you didn't realize to take off the scapes, it's okay. Try again next year, see the difference. I feel like what people would call a fail in the garden isn't necessarily a fail. Everything is a learning lesson, everything we can grow from, and you can make learning records that I didn't take off the scapes this year. This is about the size of my garlic. You could even wait if you wanted to. Take off the scapes next year, compare, take records. Also, you might have taken off the scapes and then harvested, earlier than that 3-week wait. Take notes of what happened then. Did you wait a week? Did you wait 2 weeks? Did you wait the full 3 weeks? I am always learning from my garden. There are no true garden fails. I have done this, even just the growing garlic thing, for I think 11 years of growing garlic, 16 plus years of growing food. And I'm always learning. I'm always adjusting and doing something slightly different the next year to keep growing and improving. There are no fails. If you got food, no matter what the size, and this is a pretty small one right here, it's still a win. You grew food for your family. You did it. It doesn't matter if it looks perfect like a grocery store. We're not going for grocery store. We're going for local, real food grown by ourselves. Remember, those farmers that are growing for the grocery store, they're only selling their very best to the grocery store. They have plenty of garlic bulbs and different veggies that are less than perfect. And those are the ones we just don't see because they don't make it on the shelves. One thing that can make the garlic smaller can be showed by this. I just pulled these two out and they were planted like this. I think what happened was I accidentally had 2 cloves that maybe were stuck together that I planted. And so if you grow your garlic cloves too close together, it is going to affect the size. I got 2 garlics, but if these had been further apart, let's say 4 to 6 inches apart, they each would have been larger heads. So tip number 3, give proper spacing. Make sure you don't crowd your garlic when you plant it. You give it space to grow and get as big as it actually can. Another reason that sometimes our garlic is not as large as we would have liked is the timing of when we planted it. Last year was a very difficult year for me. If you've been around our channel for long, you will know I had to have shoulder surgery a year and a half ago in January, a major shoulder surgery. I had major back issues after the surgery that landed me in my 40s using a walker. I have come a long way physically, but that had real effects on my garden and growing food. And so I got all of my garlic planted out late last year. I usually plant garlic end of October to the first couple days of November. Last year, I didn't get them planted till Thanksgiving. That 3 to 4 week less growing time will matter. It's okay, I still got garlic, but this head right here is smaller than it had to be if I had planted in the proper timing and given it enough time to really grow before the colder weather of winter set in and before it had to overwinter. So my next tip is look at your timing. What time did you get your garlic planted out? That can make a difference to what your harvest ends up being like. By the way, if any of these tips have helped you so far, would you click the like button? That helps YouTube know this might be a video that could help other people and they'll show it to more people. Also, I'd love to have you be a part of our community if you follow along. I love to share things I've learned in the garden. We have a little homestead, 3.5 acres, our family of 9, all work together. My kids help out. We keep bees, we have chickens. I love to share just things I'm learning in life, and so I'd love to have you. Now, just because you planted late does not mean you'll get less garlic. It just means you might get smaller garlic. So you plant out 50 cloves, you will probably get about 50 heads. The size is what we're talking about right now, not the number. It is so hot. I don't know why I decided today and right now. I could have done the evening, but no, I thought, let's get that garlic. It's bothering me how brown it looks. I honestly was thinking maybe the heads would be pulling apart and splitting. That happened to me before when I harvested garlic too late. So learning from my past mistakes, you can harvest too early, you can harvest too late. I like to try to gear it by when like half of the leaves have started turning brown and dying back. Well, these looked so brown, I thought, what if, in my mind, what if all of the cloves are pulling apart? Since I've had that happen with some heads, I'll try to find a picture to put up for you to see what that looks like. I had to get out here as if waiting till this evening would really matter. I don't know. Sometimes my brain gets a little obsessive. I don't know if you're like that. Maybe so. So then I had to know. I just had to know now, as if harvesting at noon or harvesting at 6 p.m. would make a difference. I don't know. Little better. It is so hot out here. My phone overheated while I'm doing the garlic and I had to like set it in the shade of this gigantic sage. So I'm not lying when I say that I am so hot and I need to finish quickly so I can go cool off in our pool for a minute or two. The next tip or maybe what could have gone wrong is something completely out of your control. The weather. You cannot control the weather. Now, garlic wants to get like at least an inch of rain or watering a week. We had one of the wettest winters we have had in a very long time. We are way over our annual rainfall, and we were over, I think, by like December or January. I mean, it was crazy the amount of rain that we got. Rainfall is measured, I think, July to July, so it isn't measured in January, but stay with me. I don't know if all that extra rain made a difference in the size of my garlic. I cannot say for sure. I know that underwatering garlic could make it smaller. Can overwatering garlic affect the size? Possibly, because I do know that roots need to not be suffocated to grow and to thrive, and I can overwater tomato plants. I can overwater peppers, so could I overwater garlic? Quite possibly. So if you have a drought or if you have a very, very wet year, both could affect your garlic size, and that is not necessarily in your control, but it is a factor into growing garlic and how your harvest turns out. Keep that in mind. Sometimes there's things that you can do, sometimes there's not things you can do, and it's okay, but those are things that make a difference. Another thing is you can feed your garlic. Now, I did put one feeding of bone meal on my garlic when I planted, but usually I feed my garlic several times during the growing season. I'll use a nice organic fish emulsion, watered down, and I water with it. I did not do that this year. Did that affect the size of the garlic? It very well could have. So whether you feed your garlic, how rich your soil is with compost and nutrients, that can absolutely affect the size. That is a place that we could always have room for growth and improvement in how any of our harvests are. We grow food year-round in our garden beds. We're always succession sowing. We are changing when we harvest, then we plant something new. How do we do that and not deplete our soil? We are always feeding our garden beds with fresh compost, either that we made or that we locally source from different nurseries or soil companies. We are always amending. We are always bringing the soil level up. We are mulching with things like wood chips that will actually give organic matter back into the soil. This is important because you don't want your soil depleted. Depleted soil will produce an inferior harvest. You can feed it with things like fish emulsion, worm castings, bone meal for root crops, but also just having healthy soil and compost and organic matter, it makes a difference. Okay, the garlic from this side of the bed, I don't know, to me, they look bigger. I don't know why. That's so curious that one side would do better than the other. If you take anything away from this video, I want you to know that growing food, even imperfectly, is worth it. You're not a failure. If things vary in size, you are winning. And yes, there are ways we all can grow and improve. I hope these tips and tricks help you as you plan your garlic planting for next year. And both of us can get better harvests. I actually am more impressed with these hardneck than I thought I would be. The soft neck, our California early white, are our smallest heads of the 3 varieties we grew, but sometimes that happens. And I hope that makes you feel like it's relatable. You're not the only one. If your garlic was smaller than you hoped, my soft neck was definitely smaller than I hoped, but there is next year. That's the great thing about gardening. We get a reset button every year. We can always grow and improve and learn. We're here to learn. And gosh, I love to learn with you guys. Let me know in the comments below if there's something that you learned in this video, or if you have a tip or trick that you can add to help other people who are watching this video, because you guys have so much to add to the conversation. $109 heads of hardneck garlic. I'll see you in the comments below and in the next video.